Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to be doing my third trimester Q&A. So it has been a while since I have done a Q&A for you guys. I think my last one was my second trimester Q&A, and now that we're coming up to the end of my third trimester, I thought I could do a little Q&A about what's going on in my third trimester. I asked over on my Instagram, I left a question box and an anonymous link, which I always do. So if you ever want to get involved in these Q&As, I will always have an anonymous link just in case people want to ask questions but they don't want their name attached to it. I don't get offended by anything. It's fine. I always ask over on my Instagram for any questions, and I also try and do it on the YouTube like post community thing, but I know not everyone checks them. So if you ever want to get involved, head over to my Instagram. But yeah, if you'd like to see me talk about my third trimester, then please keep watching. Okay, so I've just picked out 10 of the most asked questions just to make it kind of like easier for everyone. So the first one is, how is the third trimester treating you? For me, I feel like I can kind of go into a little bit more depth in this video than I kind of have been. I've kind of been like throwing out like little pieces about how it's been going. But personally for me, this time around I have been struggling a lot more. So I ended up leaving work on sick leave about, what was I think I was maybe like 32 weeks, 31 weeks, which I know is very, very early. I was advised by the doctor, the hospital, and basically my family and friends to leave work because of mental health, but also because of the pain that I was getting. Just before Christmas, I was having very, very bad cramping to the point where it felt like labor, and I was getting it for ages and ages and ages, and it was just really stressing me out. And I was getting like a popping sensation on my stomach, and there was just a lot. So myself and Joseph went into the hospital and they checked baby out. Baby was fine, and they said, look, if it gets any worse, come back to us. So that was happening for ages, and I was getting very stressed about it because I was like, this isn't normal, but they're telling me that baby is fine, so I just have to go with it. So then when that kind of passed, I then kind of, again, like I said, my mental health wasn't great. And then it came to recently where I've started to get extreme pelvic pain, like to the point I can't stand up, I can't walk, I need assistance to do both. Luckily for me, today has been an easier day, but say not yesterday, day before, I literally could not move. Like I was crying, like I was in agony. And when you have a little toddler who is now walking, by the way, it's a lot harder. So I've been struggling with that, and the only relief that I'm getting is when I'm either sleeping or on my birthing ball. But I have a toddler who has needs, and I can't just sit on a birthing ball or sit in bed and sleep all day. So yeah, in terms of like that, I've just been having extreme pain. I'm just ready to give birth, because as we all know, a lot of the time when you have these symptoms, the minute you give birth they go away. So we're nearly there, but other than that, I've been fine. Like since I've been off work, I think work was the biggest trigger for me. Yeah, it was a very, very big trigger for me. So I think being off there has definitely eased my mind. And now that we're coming up to the last 4 weeks of pregnancy, it might even be 3 or 2 by the time you're seeing this, I can't remember. But yeah, now that we're coming up to the last little bit, I'm getting excited. I'm just ready to add to our little family. So yeah, that's how the third trimester is treat me in a whole. Okay, the next question is, will you be filming your labor and birth? So I know in Oliver's birth story I said I would have liked to have filmed my labor, however I didn't go into labor naturally myself. I ended up being induced, and I had like 1 or 2 clips that I'd filmed while I was in the hospital, but it ended up all happening too fast that I never got to. I don't think I will film my labor and birth this time round unless I go into natural labor. But if I end up starting to go into labor at home, I will try film it purely for myself, because I would have liked to have seen what we've been going through and what we had gotten up to, because you do forget a lot of your birth, especially when you're in that much pain and there's so much going on. So yeah, I would like to film my labor, probably not the birth, just because I think there's gonna be so much going on, and if it ends up in a section again, obviously I won't be able to film that, but also as well I just think we'll have different priorities on our mind. But I will try and film, but I'm not putting too much pressure, and then if it is the case that I do end up filming it, I might not even want to put it up. So yeah, we're kind of just gonna go with the flow. I'm gonna have my camera charged constantly, so if it does end up that I want to film it, my camera is ready to go, but if not, okay. So next question is, are you nervous about birth this time around? I wouldn't say I'm nervous about birth. I'm more nervous about how I'm going to get into birth. As I've said, I was induced last time, not out of choice, out of pure necessity, and because I don't know exactly 100% whether I will or won't be allowed to be induced, I think that's the part that I'm most nervous of. I'm trying my best to stay active and, you know, do all the things you need to do to get your body to go into labor naturally, but at the end of the day your body's just going to do it when it's ready. But because of the situation of Oliver, where he had low fluids around him and placenta was potentially failing, I'm just very conscious of that, and I'm very conscious of my body, and I think now I'm overthinking things a lot more. Like, I'm overthinking if I have a new symptom as to whether I'm like, is this my body telling me that my placenta is failing again? Like, it's just one of those things where I just, once I get into labor, I will be fine, but I'm just very concerned of how I'm going to get into labor. But if it ends up being the case of I end up with a C-section, so be it. My just main thing is I don't want to be induced this time, but I'm not forcing my body to do anything it doesn't want to do, hence why I don't want to do induction. And I will have a birth plan video coming up later on in the month, but for now, no, I'm not scared about birth in any way, because I've been through C-section and that was the scary part for me last time if it were to happen, and it did happen. And so now this time around I'm kind of prepared for both. So no, I'm not scared about birth, I'm just scared about not knowing when, if, or how I'll get into labor. So the next question is, have you your hospital bag packed? I actually do. I packed my bag not last week, the week before, and I actually just filmed my packing my hospital bag with me. So that video actually will already be up. I will leave it linked in the iCards or down in the description for you to go watch. This time around I've definitely packed a lot less, purely for the fact that I know kind of what I need this time around, and based off my last experience of like what I use, I know what I should and shouldn't be packing. Obviously if you want to pack more or less than me, that is completely up to you, but I think this time around I've got it down to a T. So yeah, if you want to see that, there's links. Okay, number 5, do you have a birth plan this time around? So as I mentioned there not that long ago, my main thing is I don't want to be induced, and if it is the case that induction is a need, I'm just gonna say book me in for a section straight away, because the mental part of the induction was the hardest part of the induction. But for me, like, obviously the pain was incredible, but I think trying to get through that pain mentally and just everything else that came with it afterwards, I'd rather no mistakes or no miscommunication happen and just get booked in for a section. I'll deal with the section, it's fine. Ideally I wouldn't like a section because of Oliver, and like I have a baby to get home to at home, and of course I'll have Joseph, thankfully, but at the same time, like, I'd rather get home as soon as possible. But then in terms of like medication and stuff like that, again, I'm gonna still try and go natural this time and have no pain relief, and I would like to have no continuous monitoring, which I know my hospital are gonna fight back on me on, because I had an emergency section the last time and because of the situation with Oliver's heart rate, but that was from the induction, so I'm prepared to have that fight with them. But then also as well, my hospital are very big on breaking your waters pretty much straight away. For them, they'll be a bit like, fine, okay, with the continuous monitoring, but with breaking the waters, they're very strong on that. So I feel like I'm gonna have to push back on that a lot. But that's kind of like my rough birth plan. Like I said, I'm gonna be doing a video on my actual birth plan, because I am trying for a VBAC, a vaginal birth after a cesarean, and I feel like there's not a lot of content on YouTube about it, and I feel like it might be a bit helpful for some people to have someone that has talked about it, and have someone that, you know, is going through for the first time, going through it in real time as well, because trying to find information on VBACs is very hard because a lot of hospitals don't support it. So yeah, I do have a birth plan, but I actually am due to discuss it with my hospital a week today, so who knows, by the time you're watching this I've already had that conversation with them, so who knows how I get on. So the next question is, do you have stretch marks this time round? And you'll actually be shocked to know I do. On Oliver, I had no stretch marks, not one on my stomach. Towards the end, I got them on like my bum and my thighs, and after birth, oh my god, they just popped up after birth. People say you just don't see them when they're stretched until your like skin goes back to normal, and then they pop up. But I actually do have them on my stomach this time round, which I'm shocked about. Now, I don't have many. I literally have like 3, maybe I'll see if I can show you. I literally have like 3. I don't know if you can see there, on like on the underside of my stomach. What I've noticed is my stretch marks this time round, the like new ones, are mainly coming out of my section scar. So I think it's my scar stretching, and then it obviously stretching the skin. And the ones that were on my legs and on my bum that faded have actually come back in color now, which I actually don't mind. Like, I think the first time round it was such a shock to me. I didn't realize that stretch marks after birth were a thing. I thought it was just like, obviously you get them during pregnancy, and when you can see them, and then otherwise you don't have them. But because I got them after birth, I think it just shocked me a little bit. So this time around I'm like fully embracing it. They fade, my one's faded, and I've only just come back. So yeah, I'm not too stressed about them. And as well, I'm just like, I'm growing a baby, like I don't know what else I can ask my body to do. So number 7 is, will you be breastfeeding? So the hope and plan is yes, I will be breastfeeding. I had a lot of trouble breastfeeding with Oliver last time, like nursing. He would latch, but then he would stop suckling after a couple. So I ended up doing pumping and then bottle feeding him, which was a lot of effort and a lot of mental, it took a lot of mental strain on me. So this time round I have a lot more knowledge going into breastfeeding, and a lot more knowledge on like my boobs and how it works. I'm planning on breastfeeding this time around. I'm going to start collecting colostrum in the next week or 2 and freezing that, and then hopefully baby will latch and there'll be no problems. Again, like I said, I know what to do this time round. There's so many different reasons why your baby might not breastfeed, and sometimes it actually has nothing to do with the baby and everything to do with you. And I don't mean that in a harsh way, but this is, I'm talking about myself here. Like, I didn't realize that me having flat nipple, like this is so TMI, but basically they're not flat nipples, they're just nipples that are a lot flatter. They're just not really pointy. Oliver would have had to suck a lot more to get them up, to get the milk out, so he just got lazy essentially, and I didn't realize that's what was stopping him. I thought it was something wrong with Oliver, but turns out it was all my boobs. My boobs were the problem which I didn't know, and now I know this time around, so I'm able to essentially get my boobs ready. And as well, like, I know this time around not to introduce a bottle until like after 6 weeks of established breastfeeding. So yeah, it takes a lot, it does take a lot, but I feel like this time around I've got it down, but also I'm not putting pressure on myself. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I can pump and we'll feed that way. Okay, number 8, what have the differences been between your first and your second pregnancy? So the main differences I think were definitely on Oliver. I was sick a lot. I had really bad morning sickness right up until like 14, 15, 16 weeks. On this one, I've had like, maybe I had like 1 or 2 days sickness. That was a big one for me. On Oliver, I was tired, but like extremely tired. And on this baby, although I've been tired, I've not been like to the point where I drop asleep like in any situation. Whereas on Oliver, like I'd literally sit down on the couch, I'd be gone. I'd be lying down in bed, gone. Like this time around, I've actually been able to control it. Obviously, the other symptoms that I've had, I had really sore boobs on Oliver, like really sore boobs. And I think it was the fact that my boobs had never grown. So they weren't used to this new growth, whereas this time around my boobs had already grown to like accommodate Oliver, so they didn't have much growing to do this time around, especially because I only just had Oliver not that long ago. Like Oliver's only 15 months. In the grand scheme of things, he wasn't born that long ago. Stretch marks, I've had stretch marks this time. On Oliver, I didn't. Cravings, I have no cravings this time around. I'm still in nesting mode, not as much as I was with Oliver. On Oliver, I literally had to clean every single day. This time around, I do my usual deep clean once a week and then kind of like clean up as it is. And only recently have I started doing the weird stuff, like I washed the washing machine yesterday and washed the dishwasher yesterday, whereas like on Oliver I was in nesting mode. But other than that, like I've had no cravings this time, where on Oliver I was craving salty, spicy foods. Here have been the differences between Oliver's pregnancy and this current pregnancy. Another one, have you gained weight this pregnancy? I think I have gained, I actually have the stats here. So end of August, the very last day of August, I was 59.90 kg. As of today, I'm 70 kg. So I have gained about 10 kg, which is normal. It's completely normal, because obviously you have the weight of the baby, you have the weight of the placenta, you have like the extra fat that your body has, obviously your boobs grow, everything like that. So I'm at a normal weight for like pregnancy. So I'm currently 70 kg, which I have no problem being 70 kg. But this time around, the weight that I'm gaining is all to do with baby, whereas last time round I put on excessive amounts of weight purely from not doing anything, from eating. Like if you look back on my old videos of like me, you know, filming like at the exact same point that I am now, pregnant with this baby compared to like pregnant with Oliver, my face was like a balloon. Like I put on weight now, like there's no denying it. Like of course I'm having a baby, but it's not reflected in my body, it's reflected in baby. Like my arms haven't gotten bigger, my legs haven't gotten bigger, my face is starting to swell. I think I mentioned that, like my face is starting to swell and my ankles are swelling, but like my body is actually staying pretty small. I didn't realize the difference it was going to be, like looking after myself this time around. I thought I was still gonna, you know, look huge, but no, I just wasn't looking after myself this time last time around. So yeah, this time around the weight that I have gained is all baby, and yeah, I just feel a lot better for it. And then finally, number 10, someone has asked, is this your last baby? Yeah, we're 99% sure that this baby is going to be our last baby. There's so many pros and cons to having another baby, like going from 2 to 3. With 2 babies, it's a lot easier to manage in terms of if I'm on my own with them, I have 2 hands. If we're walking, if we're going somewhere, one can hold this hand, one can hold that hand. Or if I have Joseph, one child's with me, one child's with Joseph. A lot easier. You add 3 children in, especially if I'm on my own and, you know, like I have to bring them all somewhere. I am relying on one of the children to hold another child's hand and not let go. And that just freaks me out. Another thing, car. We'd have to upgrade the car. The car is just too small to have one extra car seat like in the middle. We'd need a bigger car, and that's just a whole faff, a whole different finance situation. Yeah, there's just so many pros and cons to 2 to 3 kids, but I think we're looking at 2 as our sweet spot for now. And we are saying we are done. Like I'm going back on contraception. That's a whole other situation. I'll talk about that when I'm postpartum. But I think as well I'm ready to have my body back, which sounds so selfish, but I think when you think about it, I've been pretty much pregnant for like 2 years. I got pregnant with Oliver in the April, had him in the January, got pregnant again. Well, found out in the August that I was pregnant again, and we're back to like being pregnant. I've been pregnant for so long that my body hasn't felt like mine. My body is doing what it's meant to be doing. Like my body is growing a baby, and I've been blessed with 2 babies, and I'm going to have 2 babies, and I should be thankful for that, and I am thankful for that. And you know, I was able to feed Oliver first time around. I'll be able to feed this baby this time around. But when you don't have your body back, you almost lose a bit of yourself. You almost just feel like you can't function normally. Like you just feel like you're constantly in mum mode. And when I'm finished breastfeeding this baby, whenever I decide that to be, it's just going to be a lot easier for me mentally and physically to be able to do things. Like I want to be able to fit back into clothes. I want to be able to go out shopping and buy something and not it be like, is this going to fit me in 6 months time? Is it not? Do I still have more weight to lose? Am I going to be gaining weight? Like it's stuff like that. It's, you know, I want to be able to feel better myself. Selfishly, I would love my body back. Sorry, kind of sidetrack. Is this our last baby? Yes, 99% sure that this is our last baby, but give us a couple of years and we might decide, you know what, our family isn't complete fully, we would love another baby and we might go again. But for now, yes, we are done. So guys, that is the end of my third trimester Q&A. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, and if you have any more questions that you want me to answer, please leave them down below and I will reply back to you as soon as I can. That is the end of my third trimester Q&A. I still have 4 weeks to go, but for you, I'm pretty much nearly there. Guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.